minute is always a little late. Because I know it's divine timing. I absolutely know and trust that. And yet I got to confess that on the human level, sometimes you're thinking, all right now. All right now.
Yes, ma'am.
In that in-between, right, we get to practice faith and trust. That's the beauty of it. That's what we have to hold on to, right? That's the rope that we hang on to in the in-between. You know, the wanting, the desiring, the holding the vision of, you know, maybe the disappointments and the letdowns and the seemingly obstacles along the way. And all the while, it's just trusting all is well. There's nothing wrong. Everything's happening. That has nothing to do really with what I'm talking about. It all has to do with everything. And for those who are new here today, I welcome you to our community. My name is Reverend Angela, and we are a growing, expanding, spiritual community that have come together just out of the desire to want to be together on Sundays, as a desire for us to want to deepen in our own soul journey. And my personal vision is just to create something different in Santa Cruz. And I don't know what that looks like, but I know it's something different. So this is just a safe, loving place to be, where we honor all paths to God. You know, there's only one power, one presence. There are so many paths. And what's just important is that we choose one or two or three, right? And we get on board. So this month we're talking about a very powerful book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And there's a few of those books, I've said this a lot, that for me have changed my life or shifted my consciousness. And this is one of them. Whereas I'm reading it, and this is, you know, this book's 14, 15 years old, and it's like all spiritual truths, as relevant now as it was then, and it will be relevant, you know, in the future. But it just reminds us of what's important, and just a constant reminder that we are not our mind. That we are not the thoughts in our head. That we are not our past, and we're not our projected future. And that who we really are, and that when we think like that, we're like, as Jesus said, a branch cut off from a tree. Because when we think we're our thoughts and our mind and our ego self, we think we're separate from each other, separate from the wholeness of spirit itself, right? So, yeah, we have been programmed almost to identify with this mind. And the mind is also very, attached to past and present. Dwelling in the past. Resentment, guilt, non-forgiveness, judgment, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? And then somehow making all of that happened in the past say something about who we are today. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So how ridiculous really is that? Because underneath it all is just this pure essence of who we are. The life force of spirit that travels here this lifetime and took on a human body and will travel on after this lifetime. That's my belief anyway. Has that essence of who we are, has traveled with us and will continue to travel with us, and it has no thoughts about anything. It's just, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, beingness. Some might call it spirit, love. You could use the G word, the God word, right? Whatever you want to call it, quantum field or quantum self. It's that part that's never been touched or perturbed or affected or disturbed or changed or altered by anything that happened to us. Imagine that.
Wow.
By any belief that we've taken on. This universal, I'm somehow not enough. This universal, I somehow haven't quite gotten there yet. Right? I'll be okay then I'll exhale, then I'm there, right? And so the invitation is to continue to go beneath the mind, beyond the mind, to notice it, but not become entangled with it. Because it's going to do its thing. So to expect it to go away is a really high expectation. But we can notice and say, thanks for sharing. Thanks for reminding me of my sordid past right now while I'm giving a talk. Or, thanks for, that nervousness in my stomach reminding me I don't really feel worthy as I'm about to perform. All of those things that the mind does. And it's tricky because it will come in when we're at our highest sometimes. Ever had that experience? Yep. Some call it happiness anxiety, or that feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop. That we have an upper limit on how much good we can let in. And so we have these experiences of great joy and rapture, maybe, if we're lucky we have rapture, but great joy and openness and connection. And then the mind will say, what about? I just want to remind you that you didn't finish the project you were supposed to do before you left home, right? Or I just want to remind you that, you've got this meeting coming up in the future that you really need to be putting your energy towards. Ever really notice that? The mind, the only mind. So the mind is the mind, the monkey mind, doing its thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. We need it to be in this earth plane. The challenge is when we identify with it. And especially when we unconsciously identify with it and think we are it. And we are the thoughts in our head. And we are the voice that says, we're not enough somehow, we're not worthy, we're not doing enough, we haven't arrived enough, comparing ourselves. Whatever it is that we all do as human beings, that's the mind's gig. And to keep in that going, it likes to live in past and future. And the spirit is here now. We can only access that light and that love that is the truth about us in this now moment. It's like we have to, narrow down to this very moment. When we say now all is well, we literally mean now. Not now in the circumstances of my life. Not now when you get up from this chair. Not now when I speak the next sentence. It's now. It's narrowing it down now. I'm okay. And the more we can breathe into that, the more presence of the divine we're going to feel. And then that becomes the thought. That becomes the mantra. All is well now. And so the next moment, all is well. Because you've affirmed all is well. And the next moment, all is well. Am I the only one who spends so much time fantasizing about the dismal future for it not to happen?
No.
Right? So it's such a waste of time going into that past. What brings us into the now, I was thinking about this, you may have had these experiences, times where we have these emergency type situations, where you may nearly run over an animal, or, some big thing happens and people will say, it felt like time stood still. Mm-hmm. Because what happens in that moment is everything except being fully present with what's going on is happening. There's no past, there's no future, there's just deer in the headlights, right? But fully present. I think that's the other thing people get from this daredeviling, but race car driving, that skateboarding thing where they're flying through the air, roller coasters, anything, it brings us present. We're not thinking about anything else. I was talking to my sister-in-law, and she took my 7-year-old niece over the holidays. They were down in San Diego to one of the amusement parks, not Disneyland. For some reason, it's escaping me. And they love those roller coasters. It's the biggest on the West Coast, 156 feet. How far is it? And I was saying, well, what do you like? Like what? So she said, it's terrifying. But you're just wide-eyed. And I said, well, did Maeve scream? Well, I wouldn't know. Everyone was screaming so loud. I'm thinking, this isn't my idea of fun. it's the now moment. Whether it's the roller coaster ride, when you're not thinking about what's going, you're thinking of nothing except holding on tight and being with whatever is going on, right? Or it's the God moment that we get when we step out into nature, or the bliss bumps we get at the sound of a song or a prayer. All of it, just whatever it is, it brings us here now. Yoga, I realize that's what I love about it. No matter what's going on, right up until I lay that mat out and lay my tired old body on it, the moment I'm there, I'm here now. I'm here now. Such a release and a relief. And all the spiritual traditions talk about this. You know, the Zen Buddhism is, you know, it's so centered on that razor's edge of being fully present. Everything is done very slowly, very deliberately, very consciously, so that any sense of past and future self can just fall away. Sufis say, you know, a Sufi is the son of present time, or something like that. Rumi, see if I can get this one. Past and future veil the sight of God. Burn both of them with fire. Doesn't mess around. Burn them up. But you know, they're all saying the same things. Founder of religious science, Ernest Holmes, you know, talks about we pray, in the present moment. We say, right here, right now, all is well. That's the affirmation, over and over and over again. It's in the now where all is well. And to be fully present with something or someone means to let go of the mind. So if I look at that tree out there with my mind, it's going to label it and judge it and bring all my other preconceived ideas about the tree to it. Now that's what we do with a tree. Imagine what we do with people, especially those we know, right? We don't see sometimes. I don't see. I can't speak for you. Who is before me? I see what my experience has been of them right up until that moment. What would it be like to get underneath to the beingness, the presence of the divine who greets each one anew each day? No past. Today, I just see this bright shining star.